All right. Well, welcome everyone. It is officially time for a holiday party. And I'm Jennifer Britton. We host these every year. And I think it is actually the 23rd annual year-end holiday program, which is something I started back in fall of 2004 when we opened the doors here. This used to be just like a come be on a freeconferencecalling.com. I was reminded on the weekend by someone and just listen in, but it's evolved since then. I want to say welcome regardless of what holiday you're celebrating. This is a chance for us to come together. Today we also want to honor some of our graduates from the Pathway program, and I also wanted to give a big thanks to our team at Potentials Realized, which of course we've got Ivana, and Ivana is our team lead for group coaching. And we just had Michelle Mullins come in the room. And Michelle, good to see you. I'm just saying thank you to the Potentials Realized team. And you are a big part of that. Michelle, is behind the scenes in the Coaching Many podcast. So thanks for dropping in. How you doing today, Michelle? Give us a thumbs up or give us a
I'm
quick
doing
voice.
great.
Doing
So glad
great.
I can be here.
It's so good to have you here. We've also got Steph, alumni Steph. We've got Carissa. We've also got Mary Garrett coming in the room. So this is nice. I never know who is going to come to our holiday parties. We want to make this valuable. You're all group and team coaches in your own right. And so there's a few giveaways. So hi, Mary Garrett. We're just getting started in our holiday warm up. Anything you want to share in terms of a seasonal welcome? You don't have to, but let's bring your voice in if you'd like to say hi.
A seasonal welcome. My seasonal motto is inch by inch, life's a cinch, yard by yard, life is hard.
I love that. I love that. Does anyone else have other seasonal welcomes? I'm just getting ready for, both snow, which we're having here, but hopefully next week, going and enjoying some steel pan Christmas tunes, which is always very nice. So,
From white from white snow, Jen, to white sand.
you,
Beautiful.
you got it. You got it. Got to enjoy it. So,
Love it.
yeah, this year my son is moving back to the snow, but he said, Mom, I finished my last exam December 12th, and don't report to work until January 12th. What are we doing? So we got a few adventures planned. And part of the adventure, I think, is really wrapping things up. So if you haven't heard of this year I did an advent calendar, and this is the 24 days of coaching wisdom, all AI generated, just to be transparent. Canva is an amazing tool, and it took some of my content and put it in this fancy dancy advent calendar that you can actually click. So if you're feeling so inclined, head on over to this website. I think I've also put it on LinkedIn, but you can go peek behind every door to catch old episodes, old community calls, articles, etc. Because we continue to be a one-stop shop for all things group and team coaching. Now, the newer layer, of course, is sort of the AI layer. And some of you have been with us for the AI booster days, which are becoming very, very, very popular in terms of what does it mean to amplify and accelerate my business using AI. And so I did a recent article on LinkedIn called The Future is Human, because at the end of the day, as much as we are AI enabled with our clients, as a coach, it is all about the human connection. I'm not bringing AI into the room in our coaching work. So there's this interesting divergence of, the human experience, connection based, but also looking at how do we scale with AI? So check that one out as well. And here's our little roadmap for this afternoon. We're going to do quick warm up, then we're going to do a little grad ceremony. We have a bunch of people who finished their certification pathway. I've had some RSVPs, but we may have some people dropping in around half past the hour. We're also going to look at some core themes around group and team coaching this last year and what's laying ahead. And then Ivana is going to do something for us around the Coaching Many podcast, she and Michelle. So, not that I'm asking you to do anything, Michelle, but it'll be an opportunity to just really talk a little bit about it. So, I thought it might be nice. What's been a win? What do you want to celebrate as something big or small as a win this year? It's been a year I think that's the easiest way to say it. It's been a year. And for a lot of coaches, especially, it's been a year to stretch, to continue to grow, to double down on what we work on. Love for you to just share, because it is really powerful to be able to share a win as we go into our celebrations today. What's something you want to celebrate from the year? And think back to like January, right? Like close your eyes, think back to where we've been. I have to think, wow, like it seemed like a really long year in many respects. And it also went by super fast. Like I think about some of the work that I've been doing with teams. It's been ongoing since the spring, but I can't believe that we're now into end of year. Some of the booster days, right? Many of you joined me in Barbados in February. I feel like that was just a few weeks ago, but here I am getting ready to fly again. So, who'd like to share a win? Any takers on this question? What's a win?
I'm happy to share, Jen.
All right.
Um,
What's been your win this year, Michelle?
well, okay, so this started in 2021 where I just felt this really yearning to dial down my life, like possession wise, like really in my office or different things, and just really get organized. What are the things that I really need, or what are the things I really want, and let the other things go? That came to a conclusion this year. Like I got the project is complete, and it feels great just for that to happen. So
Nice. And so it sounds like you've really compacted all the good into these great little nuggets.
I say that my husband and I talk about this all the time. We could literally move anywhere in the world in a half a day and have all our things, gathered, and we could work or anything. So we're
So
prepared
Michelle,
to be
you
mobile
need to
if needed.
and you need to come and help me because I'm still, in 3 years after the big move, 2.5 years after the big move,
It's a
still sorting.
process. Yes, I
I'd
love
like
that.
to be in the place of picking up in half a day and going. Love that. Love that. So welcome, Angelique. Good to see you. We're just doing a quick welcome warm up before we get into the celebrations, including the graduation ceremony. And yeah, wins. Anyone else want to verbally share a win that they had this year?
This is Angelique. So I'll just share. So as you know, I've been, doing all this training focused on myself, like in my own learning and development, while navigating some things that were bubbling up with my children. But my son booked a movie, and since I talked to you, Jen, like I went out of state with him for a month. He filmed a major motion picture and earned his SAG card at 12 years old.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And because of the flexibility and freedom of being intentional about designing how we work, how we live, my husband and I were able to make that work. If we had not made like some of the choices we had made incrementally along the way, it would never have even been a possibility for him. So I feel as a mom like I'm winning when I see my child get to do what they love and what they're good at, and start to get traction in ways that you only hope they would be able to get traction. But I kind of tie it back to being thoughtful, being planful. You just never know what the day-to-day, week-to-week decisions you make are going to lead to, but I think you have to trust, like, if your gut is telling you to do something, to listen to it.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations, Angelique. I'm so excited for you and the family because I know that's been a big emerging piece for you.
You don't know what you don't know, and then the universe, sometimes things manifest, and it's bigger. Sometimes it's bigger than what you envision or what you can dream up. So it's just good learning, good year of experiences, and now planning for next year with wanting to like have some core business things in place, systems in place, and plans in place, but also flexibility in place.
Beautiful. All right. Wow. I don't know if I can top that one. But I saw the smiles around the room, and I think many of us wear many hats, right? We have whether it's our own children or loved ones, that we support in our work. And I think that's part of the joy of building a business is it allows us the freedom and the flexibility to be able to say yes to things that are important as we go. So love that. Well, let me put a shout out. Anyone else? Ivana, let's go to you.
Yeah, just listening to Michelle and Angelique, and I know I've been on various community calls with Steph, and Steph, you're moving the needle, and Mary Garrett. But if I look back at where I was last January to now, like there's been a lot of changes in my life, on many levels. But what I really realize is the thread in all of it is, I think about last year at this time, I was just entering the market in Italy around like normalizing coaching and everyday conversations with Italian natives. And, I was really resistant with it, but I really wanted to bring a coaching approach and supporting Italian natives professionals to find their voice. And as the years progressed, like even the metrics speak in their favor, but I also reflect on just even the evolution of how I'm now starting to see the thread lines in the different layers of the work that I do, whether it be relationship transition work, but what big parts of this were the NELA program I did this year. I redid the NELA program because I really just love that program so much. And it supported me to actually create a bit of a framework that anchors my work through that program, bringing neuroscience in. And even I'm just thinking about like the next layer of that has been the writing sprint this November. So as much as certain things have come to fruition, what I'm really coming at the end of this year is that I'm celebrating is that there's things that are being built. And so there's progress. And even in the change, even in the flux, even in the chaos, thankfully I've been able to anchor certain things that I can bring into 2026 and will hopefully further come to fruition. So I'm really celebrating the progress, not the perfection of it.
And what is perfect, right? You know how quick I move through life, everyone. I think,
Yes.
it's like I always look at like what's the big, go big or go home. And I think we've put out a lot of things this year. As Ivana said, the 30 days of writing sprints for November were really successful. We actually had a couple of people, well, one person in particular who was there for all 30 days, and she's still going. I'm going until this Friday. So she'll have done 40 days of writing. And I don't want to speak for her, but every day I'm saying, "Hey, how is it?" And we have published authors, new authors. It's really a lot of fun. So I'll be redoing this next November. If you are feeling inclined to write nonfiction, fiction. One person is writing LinkedIn articles and Substack all month. So that'll start November 1st of 2026. So stay tuned. And I think that's what's been fun for me is seeing the anchoring of different initiatives, right? Like I know November will always be our writing month here. This year we piloted, and it's not even a pilot anymore, it's the AI Booster Days. So spring and fall doing those. This Thursday, we step into the third annual Coaching Business Booster. And that's really fun. And the new program is I've taken what used to be our year-long Coaching Business Builder, or it was CGBL, the lab, and it's now a 90-day program because I think people's attention has also changed. And so it's hard to say yes to a 90-day, I mean, it's hard to say yes to a 365-day process. But with the 90-day group, we meet Monday mornings, Fridays, and then I do a video in the middle of the week. And so there's a good handful who are with me on that. And, they're probably saturated enough with with those calls, but they'll probably watch that. So I think as a business, we want to also celebrate just how I think group coaching and team coaching are really becoming embedded in so many areas. This year, I've done some amazing work with teams as well. And a couple of teams that I meet with consistently, like right now, one of them, I meet with them weekly, virtually, which is ideal. And seeing the traction, right? Like I think for a lot of these initiatives, like the plants here, it takes time. The growth isn't always showing. And once it bursts through, you can actually start seeing it. So with that, before we move on, anyone else want to share any other wins that you'd love to spotlight? I know for many of you, you've been on incremental paths this year, but building out new brands, building out older brands. So keep going, right? The growth will show. All right. Well, let's dive in. And so, I love to bring in the charms. Want to really invite you. Maybe it's the coming weeks, maybe it's the year, maybe it's the winter. But what's the image that would really help you lean into? And I want you to look at this with fresh eyes because there's possibly an image here that could really be a great ally for you in the upcoming year. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to pick one. I'd invite you to actually sketch it out on a piece of paper and just see what is available to you. If you were to bring this forward into the new year, bring that energy, what is possible? How can it inform your intentions, as we've already heard today? So I'm going to start the timer, and when it goes, we'll open it up for a bit of dialogue. All right, that's about a minute and a half. What I didn't say, and I think many of you have seen this image before, the colored carabiners on the top are just a reminder of the different coaching superpowers. So whether you recall whether you were a spiral lighthouse or a creative tool master, grounded labyrinth, or a catalytic firecracker or ecosystem connector, I love to look at this image because it reminds me that, there's just not only perspectives, but different range that we can step into. And so I'd love to invite any of you that would love to share your item. I actually chose something different today. I've never chosen the starfish, which reminded me of the octopus, because I do feel some days that, I'm moving really from the same core. Like this business, my work is really about helping people feel connected. Sometimes that's in the team realm, sometimes it's with coaches, a lot of times it's with business owners. Increasingly, it's as a writer. I've got 2 proposals out at a publisher that I should hear back from this week. And I also this year wrote some nonfiction that maybe one day soon will be released under a pen name. So it's been a really fun year. And I think this notion of the starfish, which is living and breathing and evolving, but also so pretty to look at, is the one I'm going to pick for this next year. So what did others pick? What did you pick for 2026? Steph.
Yeah, so I picked the key, um, and I equated it to the key to unlocking my passions, my creativity, and my spirit of adventure. So I'm going to put that out to the universe, and I want those three things. Now that I'm saying this out loud, I would love for those three things to be the theme of 2026 for me. Um,
Where are you noticing it the most, Steph? I saw your smile light up as you were sharing it. Where do you notice it the most?
so, yeah, I've been thinking a lot of wanting to get back into, I have a passion for promoting healthy eating, and I want to get back into offering group coaching around, supporting people um, to eat plant-based, and then just to get a little bit more adventurous in how I put that out in the world.
Phenomenal. Well, enjoy, right? You got your theme now. That's done. And we're only on December 9th, which I think is really also sort of cool. Anyone else like to share what you've chosen?
I picked the dragonfly, and I'm thinking just about between now and the end of the year because it said the coming weeks. I wasn't thinking about next year. But I was thinking, so I had two thoughts. One is what I'm most proud of this year is my adaptability and experimentation and trying new things. And then the dragonfly to me for the next 3 weeks is that like something I thought I was going to offer, the feedback we got on it, and my co-person, it's not going to happen in this iteration. And so there's some offerings I have that I don't know whether they're going to go or not, but I've learned over time that don't take it so personally. It's just adapting. It's, figuring out something else. But I also want to just be more intentional about joy. And so I think about the dragonfly as lighting, um, like landing on something and then flitting, not flitting like with a purpose, but flitting onto something else and finding joy and connection and beauty. So,
Mm.
yeah.
That's so wonderful. And I want to spotlight what you just said, Mary Garrett, because I think there's a lot of not just coaches, but business owners like it didn't work. But you know what? We're in an adaptive environment, and sometimes we just need to also keep going, right? I think about the change with, CGBL this year. It was sort of losing energy, and it had run for 7 years. And this summer, I was like, I know this body of work has some real power with these 9 skills. And so I actually was invited to put in like I'd written a book around it in 2020. And this summer, I spent some time looking at it like, what would these skills look like for an entrepreneur right now in the era of AI? And that went into a publisher, which gave me a whole new appreciation like, okay, this is then. That was like 2018, but what is 2025, 2026? And it's really blown in this whole new energy, which, even I wanted to start October 1st. We had 2 people. I was like, I'm going to go. I said to the group, are you good? They're like, oh, yeah, we get more time with you. And it's grown organically. And I really feel like that is what I've seen over the years. It's like, we've got to put it out because unless we get that feedback, we're not going to know. And it's through the art of doing the work that really the traction starts. So thanks for sharing that. Would anyone else like to share another area? Anywhere else that we want to go with this? Michelle.
I, I will. So I chose the leaf because I get my word of the year. Like I choose a word of the year for the adventure, but it's usually in the fall. And so I already have my word, and it's wonder
Wonder.
this year. Yeah, I love it so much. And it led me to more of journaling, but not just journaling, but drawing. So sketching and painting and coloring and all different stuff. So and I'm also like in that season of noticing and naming, but out again in nature and just when I see the leaves, right, it reminds me of the wind. And so on the spiritual side of things, I follow the whispering winds of the Holy Spirit and allow him to guide my way. So just that leaf really spoke to my heart, just to notice where the wind is blowing. So when you said that part of like it blew in this whole new energy, you really are speaking to my heart.
It blew
I
in your
love that.
wonder and your nature, right? And
Yeah.
to being open to that, right? Being adaptive to thinking, what are people needing now? What are the conversations that are needed right this minute? Not 6 months ago, not 12 months ago, but like right in this moment. And I think that is the beauty of coaching, because we're always co-creating in the moment. We're leading from what is in the relationship. And Michelle, you said leaves, and I'm thinking, gosh, I can't wait as I look out to like a foot of snow, which we've never had really this early. It's sort of blanketing the world. And, where do we get also energy from whatever we're doing? Love it. So whatever you've chosen, again, I hope that this is useful as you get into the end of 2026 and start getting into 2027. This year, I didn't have time to do a virtual swag bag, but I did a few months ago pull together a new sort of digital resource, which you can find here at bit.ly, 7 conversations that matter. And it's really a resource that I'd created when I went out to Halifax. I was invited to speak in Halifax October 1st, actually, the same day I wanted to launch the rebrand of the CGBL, which is now Flow Flex Scale. But the Halifax Atlantic chapter for ICF asked me to come out and do a keynote and then do something on group and team coaching. So that, group and team coaching is always fun, but I've been thinking a lot this year because I've been working for 18 months now on a book about coaching and change. And really, how does coaching respond, adapt? How do we really help people into the future of work? Because work is really changing. And you might have heard Ivana and I sit down months ago to talk about what the research is showing in terms of creativity. So when we heard that comment around creativity, adaptability, resilience, strategic leadership, all of these are key skills for the future. And so I had been looking at that research earlier in the year, and Ivana and I talked about it in the spring. And when I got this call from Halifax, I was like, sure, I'd come out. And they were like, well, what do you want to speak on? And I was like, I don't want to just speak on group and team coaching. I think we really need to talk about how our coaches sparking the conversations that matter in these times of change. And it was a really, really well received presentation. So much so that I pulled together this ebook the day after I came back. So I flew back I think it was a Friday night. Sunday, I had a writing event up north that was hosted by a colleague of mine. She's like, can you come up? And, we're just going to be doing writing. And I'm like, what am I going to write? I didn't know before I went to Halifax what I was going to write. But this is a 20-page ebook. And what sort of pushed me to put it in paper is what was valuable to the coaches who attended this keynote were the questions, right? I think we're in the room of conversation, and it's like change can look like so much. I really see it in today's world of 2026 December as a lot of different currents, right? Conversation can be a currency. It can also be a space of collaboration. It can be a catalyst. And each one of those, there's 7 that I look into, 7 different currents, they can each be a different energy, requiring us to ask different questions. And I think part of the mastery of coaches is our ability to adapt not only our presence, but the way we're coaching. And so to bring it back to why this became an ebook, when we went to wrap up this 2-day conference, someone was saying, like the convener was asking, what was most impactful? And someone in the audience put up her hand and she's like, I really like Jennifer's presentation, not just because she got us active, but because of the questions. So I hope that you will have a few minutes to check out this resource, because you've got probably a good 36 questions there that you might want to pepper in 2026 as you move forward. So feel free to grab that. I'm going to do a raffle draw with those attending for this Thursday's Coaching Booster, third annual. If you are free to join us, your name will go in the hat and we'll pull it from one of you live here. But I'm also excited, and this is really what I look at every day, including the snow on the lake today. That's supposed to be me, according to ChatGPT. And notice how I've changed from last year in the suit to now Jen at the computer. I thought that's interesting how chat really does get to know us, which is a whole other conversation. But the business boosters have really become a part of the fabric of this work. Again, Coaching Biz Growth Lab is now rebranded as Flow Flex Scale, which is another book. I've updated the 2020 manuscript that was about virtual remote and online entrepreneurship, now in the framework of Flow Flex Scale. And what is really fun, and I think more important, is to see how people are getting traction through these micro moments of pausing. So I hope that you will maybe join us. If you're open to it, I'll put your name in the hat. We'll do a drawing at the end, at the top of the hour. So that brings us to our pathway. We only have one of our current graduates here right now live with us, but a big part of what we've been focusing on since I think 3 years now has been our pathway to the ACTC. And it's really interesting to see the evolution of coaching with, coaches realizing that if they want to be masterful in coaching many, either groups or teams, it's not just a one-off course. All of you are alumni of one or more, or multiple of our pathway programs. And I think it's encouraged a lot of people who are younger in the earlier days of their coaching career to say, I want to add one or more. Even this year, we're seeing MCCs joining us for some of our more advanced pathway. I know, Ivana, you mentioned NELA, Neuroscience Learning and Experiential Approaches. Do you want to say a little bit about that course? Because I've even had people say, would you ever consider doing a pathway off of this? And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting one, but it might show up around the coaching and change body of work. So what did you like about neuroscience learning and experiential approaches?
What I appreciated about it the most is there was content that I've not had access to ever in my learning journey, but in having that, then I was able to choose a topic or a project that I that would support my business, my growth, my coaching development, and integrate these new like learning theory or I'm just trying to think and even the neuroscience because a lot of the work that I do is around the nervous system and creating safe space. So I was really able to use like from a neuroscience standpoint, what does that look like? What is that experience like? So we can actually support our clients in that. And so I brought it. So I'm so happy that I changed my project in that program early on because in doing so, it really anchored and built my confidence in the work that I'm doing with language and Italian natives. But I also now, with the use and value of AI, I'm also seeing the synergies and that application of that same process or framework as it relates to things beyond just this conversation. And I think that program really opened up my mind to see things differently with theory, with backed theory, like even education, like neuroscience, learning, like that whole learning piece for me was really my edge to grow. And I
Mm.
think, and even with the people that were in the program with me, I think we all came with one of the edges stronger, but it gave us the space to grow and develop and consider in the bigger picture of experiential education and learning and neuroscience. It was wonderful. And like I said, it was the second time I did it, and I got so much more and different learning. Just you had added stuff, but also where I was in the context of the conversation was different.
And we've chosen to remain a CCE program, right? We had the option about a year ago to become like a foundational level 1, 2, or 3. And I've given it a lot of thought, but it's, our programming needs to be modular. It needs to meet people where they're at in their continuing journey, right? You're all amazing coaches, but there may be something that you need at a certain stage. And having now run NELA, as we call it affectionately, twice a year for 3 years, really seeing how this is the course that people start claiming and owning their niche, but not just
Mhm.
from this is my niche, but now from a empirically embedded neuroscience learning and experiential approach, which has always
Wow.
been the heart of our work. And you're all graduates, right? Like this is part of your work as well. So I just want to spotlight that because as we get into, maybe I'll just put it up front rather than go to the slide. But in this world of AI, where is group and team coaching going, right? There are many proponents who would say, oh, an AI can coach. Yes, and the human people, as human species, we want experiences. We really are craving human to human connection, not just time with our GPTs. And so I think understanding that and being able to own your area of work is going to be critically important. We are also moving out of an era of SEO, right? Being found on Google to now being found on GPTs. And Ivana and I have experienced this in increasing volume this year, whether it's for group coaching or whether it's for future of work. We are in the recommended paradigm, even leadership development for emerging leaders. And I always say, well, how did you hear about us? Oh, this big company recently was like, we went to ChatGPT. They
Yeah.
gave you the name as the name. So how do they do that, right? This is now known as AEO, AI enabled optimization, or in some circles, it's generative engine optimization. But a lot of it goes back to the basics of content, right? What are you putting out in the world? How are you defining your brand? Whether it's Steph, I know you work multi-niche, but it could be the plant-based, it could be the wellness, it could be the leadership. For you, Mary Garrett, it could be the team component, it could be, the trauma-informed, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to like really spotlight that because I think we are really at this very interesting moment. And I'm saying it not only as a coach educator, but the two books that are in front of publishers right now and why they're in front of publishers is because of this future of work AI enablement. It is changing the way we work.
Mm.
It is changing the way our clients are working. And it doesn't mean we have to use it, but we need to understand the landscape that are, especially for working in organizations, what is their world looking like? And I know you, Carissa, you're in an organization. Are you an AI enabled organization? So, not yet. Yeah. Well, and different organizations are at different spaces. And so reconnecting workspaces, which started almost 5 years ago now, really is now starting to look at what does it mean to coach in an AI enabled or non-AI enabled. And it's really interesting because it goes back to that rich human experience. So we've had some amazing graduates come through our program, and you're going to see Angelique there. We also have in this latest round, I want to just take a moment to acknowledge and honor 4 other of our newest graduates. We have Allison Osborne, and she spent about 18 months. I have to get the question, how long does it take to do the pathway program? She took about 18 months. And as you can see her primary focus is really in career coaching, career group coaching. So I want to acknowledge you, Allison. She sent me a note this morning saying she couldn't make it, but she would have loved to have been with us. We also have Melissa Law. Melissa works internally as a coach, and Melissa has done the programming over multiple touch points, 2 sort of tranches. She started first with the practicum trifecta and then joined us for the advanced trifecta. And I don't want to speak for her, but she's already implementing this work, I think it's fair to say. Beside her, and I'll go around, so Angelique will leave you for the end. We're going to give you a rising applause. Beside her, we have Sarah Canna, and Sarah heads a talent team, and Sarah has actually been really key in bringing in group coaching, and down the road it'll be team coaching into her organization. And it's been great to see Sarah really going through that whole pathway process from fall of, I guess, almost 2 years, fall of 2023 to now. Lisa Wiedmeyer isn't with us, but Lisa's a real firecracker, even though firecracker is not her primary. Lisa is a Gallup Strength certified coach, and she also works internally in an organization, but is going to be retiring and moving into her own body of work. And Lisa has really been just one of those sparks. She has come to calls from all over the world. She actually had a secondment over in Europe, and she was calling in one day, even on a transatlantic flight. I had to say, this is really cool. Like, the way we can learn today is so amazing. So bravo to you, Lisa. Like, I would say bravo to all of you in keeping the learning going. And to you, Angelique, we get to honor you with your final completion, even done around leaving state. That's amazing. Like, I can only imagine you on not a, I'll just call it a movie set because I am a layperson. When I go through downtown Toronto, I often see like the production crews. You could tell where a movie's being filmed because you see like the vehicles, and you see the dressing rooms in the middle of the street. And I can only imagine you navigating that, Angelique. So bravo. Angelique, I'll let you speak for yourself, but what I love about Angelique's body of work, I always think of Angelique and Bright, which is the sort of the team arm of Leadership Circle. And I want to leave you just a moment to share what you're looking forward to out of what skills and deepened practice you now have in your toolkit.
Gosh, and I was thinking about when did I really start? I think I started with you like back after the pandemic, like initially. So it's been a bit, and then like took a little hiatus and then came back and went like full speed ahead. But I can relate to what Ivana was saying, that I could see myself taking any of the classes again and learning a lot more very easily like the second time around, because I feel like there's so many layers to this work. And I was looking at one of your tools you created for us, Jen, and I forget which class you created it for, but it was the tool where it's a table, and it literally is just like a template for us to capture all the different tools that are available to us from all the different classes for different types of scenarios and situations. And even just that tool is so rich. So for me, like going forward, one of the things that when I did NELA, my project that I presented on was around bringing intentionality to things, and what does that trigger in your brain when you're intentional about something. And so for me, that's one of the things that I want to do even for my coaching practice in the new year, and I'm setting aside time now to do it before the end of the year. Maybe I'll get to do some on Thursday, I don't know. But it's around, bringing more intentionality, like thinking about all the tools I got out of the past year. How can I like easily have them within arm's reach with my new clients, whether it's group clients, whether it's one-on-one clients, and just like deepening my own practice and starting to flex in some of these new ways, because I think it's like one of those things, if you don't use it, you can lose it. So I want to be intentional about using these things that I've learned throughout this program.
Bravo. And it's lots of learning. It's lots of like doing. I think that's what I love about the advanced courses is it's learning, and it's the content and the research, but it's also the owning it yourself so that you can take it out and really make it your own. So I just want to say congratulations to all of our graduates. For anyone who is interested, and I often get the question, I had a meeting yesterday with someone and they're like, so what really makes your programming different? And I think we've heard it today, right? It's the research backed, it's the neuroscience, it is also the experiential, and it's the practicality, because today's world and groups and teams, it's not just one approach that's going to work. I think what we've heard in everyone's comment today, it's about having the multiple options available. So thank you and bravo. And again, let us know when you're ready with your ACTC. So the pathway has been designed for getting the coursework towards the ACTC, the Advanced Credential and Team Coaching, but it also is the opportunity to be also going through supervision, right? We had a couple supervision groups this year. That's really a newer sort of foray in the last couple of years in terms of what is supervision, having the space to step back and pause and look at work. And I would hope that at some point, not to add more layers, but to really encourage all of us to access supervision, maybe a couple times a year. Like, I don't think it needs to be every month, but it could be so useful to work with a trained supervisor. I am still a proponent, do it in a group, right? Like, there's always that value where we learn with and from each other. And ICF is now requiring 5 hours for the ACTC. But I think the nice thing is you can also count any supervision hours as core competencies in your CCE renewal. So just remember that if you're working with an accredited supervisor like I am, and there are many out in the world, you can also apply those supervision hours, which typically we run a monthly group, 90 minutes once a month. And you don't have to have ongoing work. Like, I think sometimes people are hesitant. It's like, well, I don't really have anything to bring. Well, just bring yourself, because we'll find something that is of value and impact in that. So congratulations again to all of you. Ivana's put here in chat, congratulations, Angelique. An honor to witness your integration and soaring as a group and team coach. So Ivana, yeah, let's bring in your voice. Like, what do you want to say to all of the graduates? Because Ivana gets to meet them at the start of the pathway with Group Coaching Essentials and the Advanced Practicum. What would you like?
Yeah. Well, what was interesting, if I may, is I actually had the honor to work with Angelique at the end of the pathway because it was her final course. And so just to see like that different experience too, right? Like, we typically do the trifecta and then we come in and do the advanced trifecta. But I think, when I think about the pathway, when I think about the courses, I support and I witness people's transformation and growth, because oftentimes, because I've been taking these courses, I kind of insert myself and experience people who I've led their group coaching essentials as an example a few courses later. And I think really the power of, like you said, Jen, it's the power of the group. I think we at Potentials Realize just do such a powerful job, not only like, not to toot our horns in the leadership, but in the embodiment of, like, we walk our walk. Your programs, even especially the advanced programs, like, we are in group. Like, I got to witness some of these people who are graduates in the NELA course. And so I got to see how their work, what they were doing in their work, directly applies in the theory that we're learning. I think this, if I was going to say what makes our programs different, I think it's a hybrid of your integration of your 20 plus years as a group and team coach and your continuous evolution and iteration. I can't keep up with you, quite honestly. I can't, but it's that plus all the science, like all the empirical evidence, education that you integrate in this. And then you go, this is it. And now I want you to apply it and integrate it in your work. And you're going to be witnessed from your community. And I think that's the power. Thanks, Mary Garrett. I'll just honor you because I'm in the middle of converse, because I know you got to drop off, but I think that's really powerful. I think
Happy
that's what makes
holidays, Mary Garrett.
yeah. I think that's what makes it amazing is there's just so many facets to this diamond that we call the pathway. And I think ultimately the brilliance of the diamond as a metaphor, from my experiences, I then get to directly see and integrate it and apply it into my own work. It goes past the theory. It's about integration and application and embodiment.
And I love that you brought up the facets, right? Because I think that's an image that I've always thought about and not quite ever really articulated. But if you think about a diamond and all of the different facets, literally, of what makes
Yeah.
a diamond unique. So if anyone's interested, we always have upcoming programs. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but in the advanced coursework, which I think some people are interested in, those courses come twice a year and typically on a Friday. We're going to start back really that second Friday of January with the essentials, but also this round will be coaching diverse teams and groups with the work style. So really looking at how do you support people with different coaching approaches who have different preferences on how
Mhm.
they want to work. And then January 1st, anyone who's interested in really getting some daily steps, consistent
Ooh.
action around their business, the FlowFlex Scale Lab starts up for 90 days, January 1. And I'm going to be doing, before I leave next week, I'm going to be doing another discounted rate. So stay tuned for that because I'm a real believer in, helping businesses be successful. I see a lot of similarities. I've been in the industry long enough to see multiple good times and multiple um, moments where we've had to become very creative, very intuitive, very innovative with creating sustainable businesses. And we're in that moment again. What pains me is to see younger coaches going, I was told to do this, I was told to do that, and now those gurus are out of business because they could only grow to 1 million plus, in a 1 year cycle. That's not sustainable. Like, we're celebrating 20 years in January of Group Coaching Essentials. This has been, and I don't like to talk a lot of money because I find it sort of offensive, but this has been a multi-million dollar business. And so I really hope that you'll continue to join us for community calls, ongoing training, whatever is where you're at. And so one little fun piece, which I'll put in the raffle, I don't have my version, which is really not a good thing, but we now have the 2026 FlowFlex Scale Daily Planner. So Michelle Mullins, who was one of our original Plan, Do, Track facilitators and still is, people have always said, I love Plan, Do, Track. I love Coaching Business Builder. It's an annual planner, but where's the daily planner? And so this year, I worked with Ovi, our designer, to actually create a daily planner with 15-minute blocks for people who don't want to put their calendar on the computer because we are seeing AI security issues. When all of your client lists are on Outlook, that is often visible. So, as many of you know, I still walk around with my paper calendar, which is in my briefcase because I don't want to forget it when I have to run out the road in a minute. But in 2026, it's FlowFlex Scale. So there are two videos that I'd love to invite you to watch over on YouTube at Effective Group Coach if you haven't seen it yet. The Vision 2026. And also then I sat down and did a 40-minute session where we opened our planners for 2026 to do quarterly planning. You don't need to have FlowFlex Scale, but always appreciative if you want to buy a copy at our Potentials Realized store or just grab your planner, like watch it because you've now got a theme and you're able to really move along. So I'm just looking outside. It is really getting very blustery. I'm going to pass this to Ivana. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. So Ivana, talk a little bit about what we've been doing at the Coaching Money podcast this year. And we've got you on mute. We'll get you to unmute. Love that mute. There we go.
Thank you. It has been such a fun ride with Jen and Michelle. Michelle keeping us on our toes, and we got to keep it moving. But I think really this year, when I think about the Coaching Money podcast, I'm in the metaphor of the diamond, so I'm going to do it that way. But I think what 2025 has done is we've actually deepened in terms of the facets of what this podcast is, if I think about this a little bit, because we really have brought more intentionality, more focus on AI. We brought in AI. We talked about AI. We've talked about competencies. We've done a lot more intentionality around speaking of core competencies. It's like all these things, what's happening in the conversations. And so what's happening, so what Jen's hearing, what I'm hearing, what we're hearing in our training programs, inform us and create topics. So like I said, we're talking AI, we're talking tools, we're talking skills, we're talking competencies, we've been talking marketing, niche, not niche, that type of stuff. But I think really what's really important and what I value about this podcast is it's about the basics. We try and keep things like not the basics in the sense that it's like the simplicity of it. Like, let's keep this straight. And I think that's been one thing. I think also, um, we're looking at different facets or layers to the conversation. So even I think the depth of our conversations, we're touching on our curriculum and our programs, but we're actually bringing in like real-time conversations of what's happening in the world and what's happening in our conversations, which I think really adds a beautiful layer and complexity. And I think when I think about it, it's actually informing our 2026 evolution because just like our group coachings programs, whether we're, internal or not, are evolving based on our clients' needs, our podcast is. So I think 2026 really speaks around the diversity, the topics with guests, themes. Jen and I built really like there's going to be 18 episodes that really follow a sequence based on like who are we as coaches and integrating tools, processes to support our range, are building our range. And I don't want to say more, otherwise I'm going to give it all away. So
But
check
I
it
will
out.
say
But
we got some good guest speakers coming, right?
we sure
So
do.
yeah, we have, and I just got confirmation on one this morning, Ivana. So it's
Oh,
not just going to
great.
be us in 2026. We're
Yeah.
bringing in some pretty heavy hitters in the industry.
And I think what's powerful about we're again, Angelique, what I love what you said, intentionality, the intentionality of like who are these guests and how do these fit in to support us as coaches, one-on-one, group or team, so we can expand our skills, we can expand our toolbox, you know? And then on the screen, you can see like we've showed what are the top 5 plays of all time. This really speaks to like this really is about the basics. Whether you are an MCC, a PCC, a new one-on-one or a group, it really is the foundation of who we are, right? That trust, safety, connection is such a big part of Jen's work, our work at Potentials Realize. If you look at those results, relationships, awareness. And then what I also did was I wanted just to highlight the top plays for season 2 for those who are like there's so many episodes, we're at over 40 episodes, which ones do I go? Season 2, these are the big hitters, these are the ones getting plays. Competencies, habits, inclusive design, tools to grow your business and practice, and then of course mindset. So it's really exciting. I'm honored to be on this journey with not only Jen and Michelle, but with all of you, the listeners. And really, as Michelle pointed out to me, this is a conversation whether you are in a group, internal or not, but these are topics that are relevant if you're at your kitchen table. These are everyday topics that are relevant. And I think, regardless if you're a leader, a coach, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, we really bring our best, resources and stories for these conversations. And we invite you to go check it out, subscribe, like us, and if you're inspired, give us a review of your experience.
Thank you, Ivana. So much, I think the field continues to evolve, and that's what I love
Yeah.
about podcasting. And a big thank you to Michelle, who has
Yes.
got our back. We just recorded the early Jan, setting people up for success, and Michelle's working on getting the look back at 2025. So thank you, Michelle, for that continued
Yeah.
partnership. It's really one of
Such an
Michelle's
honor. And
sweet spots if anyone is looking for podcast support, because she's been a podcaster and she is also the back end of podcast support. Do you want to say anything, Michelle?
I totally do. Because I've gotten to be collaborating with you. Like you said, you guys really do walk the walk, talk the talk that you're sharing. And then I've gotten to listen as a coach too. And
Mm.
you're you're a trusted source. And I think that so much in the world people are looking for that. Where can I go to get truth? And you guys really, really offer that trusted source, and you bring out things that stand the test of time. They're like the principles of the path, the tools for sustainability. Uh, it's enriched conversation. So thank you for that investment. You can feel the servant heartedness of pouring out to all of us as listeners. So thank you both for that, what you're doing.
Our pleasure. I think it's a lot of fun. So I think what we're going to do, because the weather is definitely turning and I have to be somewhere very important for an appointment and for myself. So I'm going to just do this little pull of the draw. Is everyone open to either selecting? You could join us at the Coaching Business Booster, or you can pick the calendar if you want. So I've got everyone's name here. I'll just pull from the hat. I put Steph in here. Was there anyone else who had to drop off early?
Mary Garrett.
Oh yeah, Mary Garrett. I was like, there's someone else. Mary Garrett. All right. Mary G. All right. And Ivana, I put you in here too.
Thank
So
you.
let's do a little pull. What's behind me? Don't even have anything. I'll use my grandmother's rose-colored wine glass. She wasn't a wine, but for holidays, she used to serve our thing here. So I'll do two draws and we'll see who gets them. One and two. And so we've got Steph and Mary Garrett as our winners for today. So I'll reach out to them and see if they'd want to join us. One final thing, just want to leave you with is this framework. I did an article for Choice Magazine on, it's called Micro Moments, Macro Shifts. That's how they named it, which was like, I
Wow.
like that. So yeah, Micro Moments, Macro Shifts. It's an article that I'll send in the newsletter with this recording, but it's really grounded in something that I started talking to all of you about in Barbados in February of 2025 at the Memorability Workshop. How are we creating time for people to pause, slow down, and get grounded? Think about what you're doing, whether it's through you know, breathing exercises, something like the charms, visualizations or meditations. People are really at a moment where it's so critical to be able to slow down and find their feet, find their grounding so that they can focus. They can get clear on what are the challenges and opportunities. I think we've all had clients come in and be like, well, what is the focus? What is the focus now? Not again last week, but what is really important right now? And our work, I think, as coaches is really shifting to the space of creativity. What does a client want to create? How do we hold their possibilities without judgment? Because we are not the client. And then I think for many of us, our clients want us to help them activate it, whether it's a 10x, whether it's a 100x, whether it's just like, help me get through the week. We are really, I think, there to help support the activation and hold that accountability around activation as well. So I just wanted to share this because it is something that I've been talking about, whether it's been out in Halifax. This year, I also was invited to speak at the post conference, lead the post conference for the National Board Certified Wellness Coaches. And that was really exciting. Like, I think, coaches are hungry to be reminded of, well, yeah, we've got competencies, but what does it really mean? And to me, it comes down to this pause, focus, create, and activate, which is really how I'm framing as the conversation sparkers. So I love, Michelle, that you're drawn to it. Is it the Chat GPT images, or is it the is it the simplicity of the frame, Michelle?
It's the simplicity of the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you gave me with working remotely, right? You give me the highway to go on and those markers, but those micro moments matter. I love that micro moments, macro shift. Like,
Yeah.
really love this.
And it is, if you think about it as a 2025 iteration of daily steps, consistent action equals momentum, right? Our work here
Mhm.
has always been about these micro moments, 15 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time. Angelique, you walk that in your own business development. We all walk that in our business development. So I just want to leave you with this as a final resource. I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy day. And if you listen to us online, let us know, what did you enjoy? Every year of the last 22 years, this call has looked different. And I'm just appreciative for you to be part of our community, whether we see you or whether you're in a different time zone and you're working, because it's important to be out there working in the world as well. But thank you for taking time. Final little piece to stay connected would be the newest item. You know me, I'm always innovating with like, oh, let's do this on YouTube. So all of our podcasts are on YouTube. Our community calls, which will be happening second Tuesday of January. We'll be back with those. Also on Substack for anyone who likes to read. I've got a Flow Flex Scale Substack. And I brought back Instagram, which I do every day on the treadmill. So That is not Flow Flex Scale. That is the old Coaching Biz Builder. So connect in any way that works for you. We're here to support you. Ivana, I want to give you a minute as we go to wrap up. What would you like to say in closing?
Um, I would just say, ground in who you are, ground in all the skills, the inner knowing that you have. Like, I invite you to actually take these 4 steps: micro moments, macro shifts. What does that look like in the last 3 weeks of this year? Well, how are you allowing yourself the pause to really honor and celebrate 2025? What is the structure to support focus, whether it be of 2025 to bring forward into 2026? Create. Use your imagination, use your vision. What are the tools to help you create and imagine possibilities? And then activate for me, I think, is whether it be coach supervision with Jen, or even if you have an accountability group, who's going to support you? Who's your community to support that activation? Because as solopreneurs, as coaches, as internal coaches, we need that, whether it be in the organization or outside. So beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, thanks everyone for showing up. So I'd love to just, as we go to wrap up, what was the one thing that you're going to carry forward and put into practice? Is there one little tip or nugget that you want to put into practice? I think for me, what you just said, Ivana, is, I'm increasingly seeing in these times of turbulence that we all need community, right? And that is at the heart of our work as group coaches. So whether you're joining us or building your own communities, stay connected, right? You don't have to
Mhm.
redo everything. Bye, Angelique. It's time, so I think that is the moment. So, Carissa, any final comments from you? I saw your note. You're going to catch up. You're going to do some like binge listening, it sounds like. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for
Beautiful.
having me. And I appreciate, Ivana, this wrapping around the framework. So I'm going to take that away as my one thing and many things.
And lots
Happy
of things.
holidays.
How about you, Michelle? Are you taking this one away? Is there another piece that you're taking from our call?
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Taking gratitude forward. Yeah.
Love
Lots of
it.
gratitude.
Well, I'm very grateful too. I want to wish all of you a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you in the new year for more adventures. Take care, everyone. Be
Bye,
well.
everyone. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. Drive through the snow. See ya.
Best of